Hello and welcome everybody. Today's video is brought to you by PokerChipForum.com. Lovely site about poker chips and everything else poker. I'm on there all the time, hobbyphilic, you can look me up. And they also have a lovely poker chip design tool. Super fun to use that. Now, let's talk about micro stakes. This video is going to be two major parts. I'm going to talk about my idea of which denominations I choose for breakdowns, and then the second half will be more towards the poker chip discussion about what kind of chips would I be looking for. And I would love to hear your opinions. So speaking of that, which chips do you look for in your micro stakes? Do you do 25 cent, 50 cent? Do you do 5 cent, 10 cent, 1 cent, 2 cent? I mean, micro stakes can be all sorts of things. So let us know what you're looking for. But for me, I like to go in increments of 4 or 5 times, just for efficiency. That way I can cover more ground with a 500 poker chip set than I can with a really inefficient set with, 1,000 or 10,000 chips, because it can get pretty crazy sometimes if you try to cover everything. Let's talk about a quick little example here. Let's get these lovely Paulsons out of the way and let's use some Atlantic Club just for the sake of argument here. Okay, so if you're in the Bellagio and you're playing a 1-2 game, they actually have a $2 chip, which I don't have here with the Atlantic Club. Okay, so all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, there's a $2 chip. But what about the 1-3 game? Well, we have a $3 chip too. And so they have a 1, 2, and $3 chip. And then they have the 5, right? And so you're like, wow, this is getting out of control pretty quickly. So as a home user, as a consumer, are you going to buy how many hundreds of 1s, 2s, 3s, 5s? And then you're like, wait a minute. But instead of going from 5 to 25, we're going to go to 10. And so all of a sudden, you have, tons of denominations and tons of chips. Next thing you know, you're at 5,000 chips for your cash set. And that gets a little bit crazy. So just for efficiency, this is what I like to do. And again, somebody will disagree with me. And everybody's home games will be different, and that's fine. No criticisms. If you have the space and the money to get 20,000 chips for your home game, cash game, 20,000 for your micro stakes, and 50,000 for your tournament sets, do it. If you enjoy that and you have space and you can accommodate all of that, I love poker chips. I'm not going to criticize you. Okay, more power to you, and please invite me over. So, but in general, I would say this is the most efficient way to do it. Okay, and so let's translate this to micro stakes here real quick. Bellagio's not going to host a 5 cent, 10 cent game. So 5 cent, 10 cent. One other thing to consider, it's not just the volume of chips, it's the betting. Okay, so if you have a 5 cent, 10 cent game and you have the 10 cent chip, how often are those 5 cent chips used? They're used for the small blind and additions to bets. I bet $1.05. Okay, but other than that, they're not really going to be used much. Whereas if you lose that 10 cent chip, then all of a sudden they're the small blind and the big blind, and they're going to be put into play more often. They're going to be used. Talk about efficiency. And then 25s will probably be the main betting. 25 cent chips will be the main betting. Do you need a 50? I would not, in my opinion. I wouldn't do that. Then I'd move to the $1 and $5. Right there. Those 4 denominations give you a large bank, give you plenty of flexibility, lots of play time in a 5-10 cent game. I hear sirens. I'm not sure if my microphone's going to pick that up. Living here in Atlanta, there's always something going on. So for me, this is a lovely micro stakes set. That's all I would need. I wouldn't need very many 5s, need a few 1s, and this is where it would kind of peak right here with the 25 cent chips. So tell us what you think about breakdowns. Now let's dive into chips. All right, these are Paulsons. These are discontinued. If you can find some, get them. They're expensive. Let's talk about some other expensive options. I showed you some Atlantic Clubs here. One of the reasons why I have these right here is because these make lovely, versatile sets. You want to look at, there's no denomination. It doesn't say dollar on there. Whoa, so that means you can play a 1 cent, 2 cent game or a 5 cent, 10 cent game, and you can use these as cents or dollars. Wow, talk about flexibility. What a lovely set. Classic Poker Chips makes these, and these are not cheap. You get what you pay for. I have no problem spending this kind of money on a micro stake set because they're going to last you so long. You think about, oh, well, why would I buy a chip that represents 5 cents for $1? Well, every time you bet that represents 5 cents. Is that chip bet more than, 20 times in a game? What about how many times is it going to be cashed out? Over how many years? You do the math, and this one chip represents, potentially hundreds of dollars worth of use, even though it's 5 cents micro stakes. So the idea of a chip being worth something compared to the denomination on it doesn't really concern me either way. So the classic poker chips, lovely, lovely choice. These are some hot stamp tournament chips. You can use these for micro stakes. They represent pennies instead of dollars. So you can say 5 cent, 25 cent, 100 cents, 500 cents. And you can also use them in tournaments. Very flexible set. Love this. A little less expensive than the inlay set. Just not, just a little different look. So take your pick. These are just some of the high-end chips that I really like. Moving down a little, you can customize your ceramics. I love Tiki Kings. You can customize those to different scents. They have that lovely blue chip, which I don't have. You could easily do 5 cent, 25 cent, 50 cent, or well, I wouldn't do 50 cent, 5, 25, $1, and $5 chips. So really, customizing ceramics is an option. It's going to be a little bit more than a stock set, but worth your money, in my opinion. And then we move into China clays, which again, some sets you may not need to customize. Like here's some Milanos, 25 cent, $1, easily a 25-50 game right there. Other China clays, like go to Apache Poker Chips and you can customize your China clay set. It'll again cost you a little bit more, but it can be easily worth it. And then we move down to some of the more discount chips. Let's just leave these right here. Now with the discount chips, there are some tricks, but you need to keep a sharp eye. So like these are some crown chips and there's no denomination on the label. Okay, this is just a sticker label. And you're like, oh, well, this will work for a 5 cent chip and a 25 cent chip and 100. But then you look around the edges and you realize, oh, there is a dollar denomination here. So, is it perfect? No, but would this flex into a micro stakes game? Easily. You could easily play this as micro stakes. In fact, this is probably my first choice for a really inexpensive micro stake set. I would get these, and the nice thing is it doubles as a tournament set. I would get these as a small tournament set, but I would get these because they're so affordable. Get 1,000 of these for less than 150 bucks right now in the US. And just use this as 5 cent. Tell everybody, all right, just ignore the perimeter here. This is 5 cent, this is 25 cent, this is $1. Done. And you have, not an ideal, not perfect. It's not like a Paulson or like a classic poker chips, but this would suffice easily as a micro stake set. Okay, again, just trying to give you ideas here. Lovely option right there. Not perfect, but it's an option. You can also get these customized too for not too much more. They also have some that I don't like as much. Like these chips, I like these chips from Discount Poker because they have smooth edges. There's no flashing from the molding process of the plastic. They weigh a little bit more than a casino chip, but that's you get what you pay for. Like these Las Vegas chips also don't have denominations. So you can use these as well. Look, 5, that represents 5 cents, everybody. Done. Easy to do. But these have flashing around the edges. They're not, in my opinion, not the same quality as these casino chips, but these will also work as a micro stake set. We need a little bit more room here. One chip that I just barely looked at and I realized I should really discuss when you're talking about primo micro stakes, Key West. These Key West chips are the same manufacturer as the Atlantic Club classic poker chips, but these Key West chips are some of my favorite micro stakes. Definitely look at these. Again, you're going to be paying a premium for these, but I'm not worried about it. If you're not looking for a premium chip, don't buy them. If you are looking for a premium chip, I would consider the Key West. 5 cent. Look at this lovely butterscotch coloration right here. Lovely gray. It's such a unique micro stakes set right here that I would be so happy playing with this as micro stakes. Key West, definitely another option for the classic poker chip style chips. Super, super quality. Back to discount chips. Now, the other option that I used is you can just make your own. So I had some labels printed, just sticker labels printed, and I got some pretty inexpensive Next Gen Pro Classic blanks on Amazon. I bought a couple of rolls and then I just put these labels in myself. Wow, you know, not terribly impressive, but not bad. 5 cent, 25 cent right there. Heads up, little micro stakes cash game set. Super fun to play with. Is it ideal? No, it's just an inexpensive way to have some fun with poker chips. So I did that. You know, that's another option you can do. It doesn't have to be the Pro Gen Classic, the Next Gen Pro Classic. It can be the Milanos or the Majestic blanks or whatever blanks you can find. Even some ABS metal slug insert chip blanks. Wow, all right, you can do it. And finally, this is border. You know how like in college you would like find different things around the house and like assign values to them. You'd be like, all right, these pencils are worth 5 cents each, right? And the Sharpies are 25 cents, right? And you do stuff like that. Yeah, you can do that with poker chips too, like the dice chips or these like bicycle chips with no denominations. You can just assign them. Just be like, all right, everybody, this is worth 5 cents. This is worth $1. You can just make stuff up, right? So you can get into micro stakes for next to nothing. Just go out and get some really, really super cheap chips and assign values to them. If you want to, if you guys play when you drink, which trust me, a lot of people do, and you get those people who are just like, they're staring at this chip for like 25 seconds when the action's on them. And they're like, so the blue chip, that's, well, is it $1? You're like, no, 5 cents. And they're like, oh, you know what you do? Here, this is a secret right here. I'm going to share, poker chip world secret right here. I cannot see through the viewfinder. I have no depth perception. You go like this, Sharpie onto your chip, 5 cents. Oh man, you're gonna have to do that on both sides for 300 chips. Oh no, think about all the things you could have been doing for all that whole time. Do what you need to do, to enjoy the game. You don't need a really nice set. I prefer really nice sets. A lot of people do. Depends on, where you are in life. Have fun, enjoy life. And I'm interested to read your comments about all this. It's just a fun discussion, micro stakes. How people go about it is interesting and often unique, and I hope this gave you some ideas. So we do a sound test just for kicks and giggles. Let's do it. Okay, so we're gonna start with, I don't know what we're doing. Let's do the Next Gen Pro Classics here. And there you go. I don't know if that helps anybody. Hopefully it did. Interesting breakdowns. I actually wrote an article about breakdowns on my website. You can go check that out. Please visit our sponsor, PokerChipForum.com. Check out the Key West website. Lots of things to do. It's so much fun. This wonderful world of poker chips. Please subscribe. We're always looking for more support on Patreon. My Patreon subscribers really make this possible. And my name is John Hobby. Thank you so much for watching.